Dan Polk, good for Utah.
Imagine growing up thinking sex is a way of life. That's what victims of child human trafficking sometimes believe.
Now, it's not a problem found only in Europe or Asia or even other parts of the United States. Sadly, it is happening right here in Utah.
Tonight, in a special report, Marcos Ortiz shows us how this market has a potential to grow and how some Utahns are attempting to save these children.
I was probably about 12 years old and met some friends of family. He probably saw a really vulnerable little girl, and I was trafficked by him, by his sisters, his other brothers.
As a middle school student, Gina kept this dark secret to herself. She says her parents looked the other way. They were drug users.
I think that I just thought that I was supposed to, that's what my body was for, and that's what I was supposed, the obligation that I was supposed to fulfill.
She was paid in drugs.
I started using heroin too. I just did what every male told me to do.
Nationally, there are currently about 300,000 underage children who are victims of human trafficking. At a recent legislative hearing, state officials testified there's no firm data on the number of Utah kids being trafficked, but they say it exists. An indicator maybe with the number of child prostitution arrests in Utah. In 2013, there were 179 arrested. The following year, 242 were jailed.
The kids who end up under the control of sex traffickers are the most damaged children in our communities. That's what makes them such easy prey.
Men prefer to have the young, very small, petite.
Amanda Howa is a student at Westminster College. She's doing research on human trafficking in Utah, and Howa is learning that underage girls are available online in Salt Lake City.
There were times where the women would arrive with a driver or a handler that was driving, and most commonly that's seen where the woman isn't 16, so she can't drive herself yet.
Her research aims to detail the size and seriousness of the sex trade problems in Utah. Her faculty advisor believes it will only grow.
Men who have previously not participated in this market because they don't want to go on the streets can now do it from the safety of their own homes.
Law enforcement in Utah continues to strike back in hopes of stopping human trafficking in the state. But the owner of this business, a man suspected of human trafficking, fled after he bailed out from jail. And recently, Ashley Poike was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison for human trafficking. She is one of several arrested by police and charged with selling young girls to men. In 2014, another Salt Lake City man, Victor Rax, suspected of trafficking young boys, committed suicide in jail. In Washington County, Leroy Halley and Francis Mary Uran served 1-year jail sentences for trafficking young girls in southern Utah.
In many cases, these victims are treated as criminals.
Fernando Rivero is an adjunct professor at Westminster College and also a captain with Unified Fire. Besides lecturing students on topics such as human trafficking, he also conducts sessions with law enforcement, paramedics, and doctors in hopes of changing attitudes towards the victims of these crimes.
And I think it's important that we recognize this is a violation of the most basic human right of freedom.
And lawmakers are getting that same message from advocates. There's a bill in the legislature designed to protect underage girls caught in human trafficking.
We in law enforcement, I think for too many years, in our zeal to get the bad guys, far too often forgot about the victims.
But what I would love to see is that that young children who are victimized by trafficking be given those services immediately at the time we discover that they are being victimized, rather than being entered into the juvenile justice system.
When she was 16, Gina was finally arrested.
But nobody asked me about my trauma. I just had to sit in DT and go to foster care.
But she was back on the streets shortly after that. Had there been help at that age, Gina says she might have changed. As an adult in jail, advocates reached out to her.
I was lucky. I was just really lucky to meet some really wonderful people.
She says it helped change her life. She still walks the streets late at night, but this time as an outreach worker in search of women who still hustle.
And when they see me and they see something different, then they get hope.
Not only are advocates lobbying the legislature to treat the underage as victims, but some lawmakers are playing hardball with those convicted of human trafficking. A bill allowing the death penalty for those convicted is making its way through the legislature. In the studio, Marcus Ortiz, Good for Utah.
Now, whether you're a victim, a parent, or a friend of someone in this situation, you can help. We've posted links on this story at goodforutah.com.
Time now for you.